Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Southwest.
Their will to win is undeniable. Their fortitude impressive. And with 4 straight victories, they've created some momentum. For the Rangers, the pressure is on to keep pushing if they're going to procure that seat at the postseason table. Tonight, they continue their push for the playoffs with a scent of payback lingering in the air as the Rangers get set for an epic battle by the Bay. Welcome to Rangers baseball presented by AT&T. It is the penultimate weekend of the regular season, and what a big stop for the Rangers. Nick Martinez on the hill tonight in what will be the biggest game of the year. The Rangers at 500, and everybody here in the lineup, including some Rangers fans, for this big one tonight. Welcome into the Coliseum. Hello again, everybody. I'm Dave Raymond with CJ Nitkowski, and every game now is the biggest game of the year. And the Rangers have run off 4 straight victories. They've done it in a lot of ways. Been some very good highlights in this thing. Not the least of which, though, a couple of guys playing hurt in this thing.
Yeah, they are right now, and Carlos Gomez and Adrian Beltre really stepping up at a time when the Rangers need them to do it. It's not just been one injury, but multiple injuries for both of these guys, especially Carlos Gomez. He's dealt with a hamstring. He had that cyst, the ankle as well. For Adrian Beltre, the calf and the hamstring as well. But that has not slowed these guys down in September. They have really stepped up because this lineup has needed them to do it. Carlos Gomez with that big hit last night, the 2 RBI double in the first inning to really kind of get things going. And so these guys are answering the bell. Adrian Beltre, we know he's dealing with a leg issue, hitting this bomb last night in Seattle. It has been incredible to watch what he has done. And these guys are setting a great example to the younger players on this Ranger team, fighting through the pain. It's got to happen if you want to have a chance to be in the postseason. And you look what both of these guys have done recently. It has just been huge for the Rangers.
Yeah, really impressive run for this team right when they needed it most. And now 7 of their remaining 10 games going to be against these Oakland A's. Now, this is a last place Oakland team. Ostensibly not a good team, and yet, CJ, it's a very hot team right now.
You can't take the A's lightly. This is a bunch of young, good players that have absolutely nothing to lose. Look what they've done over their last 14 games. Those 11 wins are the second most in baseball. The 26 home runs, the most in baseball right now. So some young players getting opportunities, taking full advantage, and if nothing else for the A's, they love the idea of having the opportunity to play sport. We showed you what happened on the offensive side. Well, they've also been getting some really good pitching as well. Their starters delivering a 3.75 ERA during this 11-win run for them over their last 14. So hopefully the Rangers can cool these A's off.
Yeah, well, if they're going to do it, it's going to be with starting pitching primarily, and that's been one of the real encouraging signs during this 4-game win streak. And so with that, Nick Martinez on the hill tonight, we will put him in our spotlight when we come back. is brought to you by AT&T Internet. Visit AT&T.com/keepcalm to learn more. And by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Well, from the Bay Area here in Northern California, beautiful night tonight for the opening game of this series with the Oakland A's. And as we teased just before the break, it is time now for our Shiner Bach Spotlight, and we're talking about Nick Martinez.
And Nick Martinez has been really good here against the Oakland A's, so that's something that we will keep an eye on. Check this out, his 1.77 ERA at Oakland Coliseum. Well, that's the 5th best in Major League Baseball history. Nick has pitched here 7 times. He's made 5 starts, 35 innings. He's done really well, and he's only allowed 2 home runs, so that certainly is an encouraging sign. He'll be going up against Kendall Graveman, who is taking the mound tonight for the Oakland A's. This is a guy who's got a really good fastball. You see his record this season. That's in 3 starts against the Texas Rangers. He has done very well, fills up the strike zone, really relies on a 2-seam fastball to get him a lot of ground balls. So certainly that's what the Rangers will deal with tonight. Let's take a look at the pitch arsenal for Kendall Graveman. I mentioned a lot of fastball usage. Well, 71% of the time averaging 94 miles an hour. That is definitely a lot for him. The cutter at 90 and the changeup occasionally 10% of the time. That pitch sits at 86 miles an hour. And ever so infrequently, you'll see a curveball in there as well from Graveman.
Well, the Southwest starting lineup tonight for the Rangers, and they're 76 and 76. No Delano DeShields in the lineup today. No Robinson Chirinos. So Chu leads it off. Elvis Andrus in the 2-hole. Then it's Mazara, Beltre, Gallo in the middle. Carlos Gomez for a 2nd consecutive start in center field. Odor, Brett Nicholas doing the catching, and Drew Robinson at 3rd base.
Yeah, no Delano at the top. I was very interested to see what Jeff Bannister was going to do now that Carlos Gomez is back and was very successful in his start last night in center field. And so, at least against the righty, looks like Delano DeShields gets the night off. We'll see if that happens
First pitch,
forward.
7:07.
So Chu in that leadoff spot, and you see his numbers for this year. Lots of power that he's able to contribute from the leadoff position, and hits this one on the ground right to second base, and on top of it, Jed Lowry one away.
It's a good problem, I think, that Jeff Bannister has right now, which is having Carlos Gomez back. So how do you balance things? Now, of course, Adrian Beltre has to DH, right? Right now, at least we understand he won't be playing 3rd base. It's already been a minor miracle that he's even playing right now for the Rangers. So that means that Jeff Bannister's got to figure out how to juggle that outfield between Delano DeShields, Nomar Mazara, Carlos Gomez, and Chu.
1 out, and here is Elvis Andrus. Average at 301 coming into play tonight. Had a hit last night in Seattle. You see again more good power. So the top 2 spots in the order, producing a total of 40 home runs this year. And on the one hand, you say to yourself, like, wow, that's pretty good. And it is pretty good. But contextually, I mean, that is what we're seeing all across baseball this year. Graveman's 1-1. Lately, Andrus has been pretty commonly slotted 3rd in the order, but with no DeShields in there, moves up to the 2-hole again. Checks his swing, slow roller first base side, and not an easy play, but Graveman grabs it and goes to the bag himself. There are 2 away.
Well, let's take a look at the defense here for the Oakland A's behind Kendall Graveman tonight. Chris Davis is in left. Pinder and Joyce in center, and right will be Chapman, Marcus Semien, Jed Lowry, and Matt Olson in the infield. And Josh Fegley behind the plate. There seemed to be some back and forth. We weren't sure who was going to be catching tonight. First Fegley, then we got the lineups, official lineups had Maxwell in there, and then it sounded like it was changed back. So it is Josh Fegley who will be catching Kendall Graveman tonight.
And so far, so good for Fegley. As he and Graveman have worked a couple of ground balls right out of the gate here today. And here is Nomar Mazara now. Nomar batting 3rd. And you see the numbers, 96 RBIs. He continues to pile those up. Comes up empty on strike one. Well, sitting on 19 home runs now for a bit. Also been playing on a tight left quad. You know, we've talked so much about what Adrian Beltre has been playing through. The fact that Carlos Gomez has come back a little bit quicker than one would have expected from a high ankle sprain. But a guy who has been just sort of grinding it out slowly with this tight left quad, Nomar Mazara, and he takes very few days off, or gets very few days off, even because of it. Is a little chopper first base. And that one handled cleanly as well by Olson. And it's a 1-2-3 top of the first for Kendall Graveman. Nick Martinez to go to work. Top of the first inning for the Rangers, and now the A's will take their hacks tonight against Nick Martinez. You'll see the lineup here: Marcus Semien, Matt Joyce, Jed Lowry up top. Lowry's had a real nice year with the extra base hits. Chris Davis, always a Rangers killer. Matt Olson, the hottest bat in this lineup, batting fifth. Healy, Pinder, Matt Chapman, and Josh Begley catching and rounding it out. So Semien steps in, ready to go. And the first pitch right in there for a strike from Nick Martinez. Semien with the 7 home runs and 35 RBIs. Getting on base about 10 points better than league average. And it is 1-1. Oakland last place in the American League West, 69 wins, 83 losses. The count 1-2 on Semien. So the schedule makers, one might think, hey, really favored the Rangers down the stretch. Gave them 7 games in their last 10 against an Oakland team that struggled this year. Fly ball out to left field, and that's a routine out for Mazara out there. 1 away.
You would think that, but you never know. I mean, the way that the schedule is set, and we have a tendency to do this all the time, where you dig in, you look, and say, oh, well, this is going to work out well. If the Rangers are close at the end of the year, they'll be in a really good position, but you just never know what's going to happen over the course of the season. And now you have this A's team, young, hungry players that are taking advantage of some opportunities, and that could be a little bit difficult. I think the issue you run into when you're the contender, especially on the pitching side, you're facing hitters. You're like, well, how do I get this guy out? What's the deal? You know, he hasn't been around the league very often, but he's swinging the bat pretty well. That is always a challenge for an opposing pitcher.
Well, they just happen to catch an A's team that has been red hot lately. There's a pitch in there to Joyce, and the count 1-1. But even if they weren't hot, right? Even if they hadn't really played well these last couple of weeks, to your point, they're loose. I mean, they got guys up here just hacking away and taking an opportunity to show a manager or maybe the rest of the league what they can do.
You earn spots on on a big league opening day roster now. If you get the opportunity, that is certainly part of how you approach it. That's what a lot of these A's players are thinking.
Joyce down looking, and there are 2 away. For a little bit more on giving some perspective on this, she leads the league in new coats on this trip. Here's Emily Jones.
Thanks so much, Dave. One of these days I'll learn how to prepare for a West Coast trip in September. But this Rangers team very well prepared for what Jeff Bannister called a very dangerous Oakland A's team. He said he doesn't need to make his team aware of it just because of the way they've played this team so far this year. Now, as you guys mentioned, they've got a bunch of hungry guys up here playing loose and trying to show that they belong at this level. So it's not like these guys are sleepers falling under the radar. This Rangers team very, very aware of just how dangerous Oakland can be.
And that's why, for me, strength of schedule is really overrated in our sport. I get it. In football, I think it makes a little bit more sense. Maybe a little bit in basketball, but in baseball, I don't get into it. You know, you sit there and you'll see things like, well, here's this schedule, and this team is playing, using the A's as an example, and their X amount of games under 500. They only got 69 wins this year. That should be an easy road for the Rangers. No, it doesn't work that way in baseball. You just never know, especially with basically your starting quarterback changing every 5 days. It's just it's a different feel in our sport when we talk about strength of schedule. And right now, the A's are certainly no doormat.
Strike 3 called, and Nick Martinez very sharp in his half of the first inning. So now we go to the second. Adrian Beltre on one leg. He'll lead things off as we come back. Brought to you by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. And by your local Texas Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. Beautiful scenes as always here in the Bay Area as we get going here in the second. And Adrian Beltre takes a strike from Kendall Graveman. Both starting pitchers off to good starts tonight. Beltre with a .314 average this year. And if you're watching the Open just a moment ago, you saw the home run he hit yesterday. Just incredible. What with the injury, the strained hamstring that he suffered on August 31st. He wanted an appeal on that check swing, but plate umpire Vic Carapazza didn't need one.
I think this is an instant admission of guilt on the part of Adrian Beltre as he swings. And you want to check that? Think it over a little bit. Nope. Carapazza said, yeah, that was a strike. You swung at it.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Beltre. There you see the season numbers for him in just 88 games. So much time missed this year for Beltre for injury. And yet even in those 88 games, CJ, he's been limited or compromised for a good portion of those with other injuries that weren't enough to disable him.
The production has been unbelievable as far as what Adrian has done in his limited time, and doing it. He's been 100% all year. Quite honestly, we've seen him when he was out there playing third, playing some great defense, but he's been swinging an incredible bat all year long.
That one nearly grazed him. He is down at first. The first base runner of the night for the Rangers.
Number 13, Joey Gallo.
So Beltre on. Here is Joey Gallo. First base runner of the night now for either team. Kendall Graveman for Oakland tonight. This is his 18th start of the year. So look at Gallo's numbers. Graveman 5-4, a .439 earned run average. And it's 1-1. One of the things that stuck out to me when looking over Graveman's numbers this year, and we've seen a lot of it. I feel like we see Graveman more than we see anybody else, but he's only allowed 10 home runs this year.
Well, this is a guy with a really good two-seam fastball. He's got a very, very strong 50% ground ball rate. It's tough to get the ball in the air against Kendall Graveman.
All right, Gallo does right there on a line drive out into right field. First hit of the night for either team. Rangers setting up well here in the second. Our power stats tonight brought to you by Kubota. Graveman, he struggled a little bit in August. Gave up an opponent's slugging percentage of .534. He was way down the list in the American League. This month he's been a lot better. The .283 slugging, 8th best in the junior circuit. So he has, well, the power numbers that we mentioned were already very good. He's been even better here in this month of September.
Yeah, he's had some really good starts, and you see that low slugging percentage. You know, of course, that means he is keeping the ball in the ballpark. It's been a strength of his. But again, it goes back to when he is on, it's the good two-seam fastball. We mentioned that it was 71% fastballs when we talk about his pitch arsenal. Well, 67% of those are two-seamers, sinkers, the ball that he tries to keep on the ground, so difficult to lift in the air. And when you do that and you're successful, of course, you're just not going to let up very many home runs, and he hasn't this year. 10 overall on the season. Surprisingly, too, with his repertoire, maybe not surprising, but he's been better against lefties. .240 batting average against lefties as opposed to righties. .315. I gotta believe that's because you can use that fastball, run it down and away against lefties, and they probably hit a ton. They do hit a lot of ground balls against him.
Well, he goes to 2-1 here on Carlos Gomez, and will take a moment to get himself right back there on the other side of the hill.
That's what's cool about watching like a Kendall Graveman, Joey Gallo matchup. Right, Joey Gallo hits more fly balls. His fly ball rate's better than anybody else in the major leagues. We talked about that the other night, and you got a great sinker ball pitcher. Well, what's going to happen? Well, Joey lifted a little fly ball in the right field, short line drive, base hit.
Joey heading back to first. Beltre to second base. Count stays 2-2 on Carlos Gomez. Gomez, what a lift he's been. Again, a guy getting back in the lineup, forcing his way back in the lineup a little quicker than folks would have anticipated. And he swings and bounces this one third base. Throw to second for one. The relay to first in time for the double play. 5-4-3. They go around the horn. Beltre now at third base, but there are 2 outs in the inning.
And for the Oakland A's, the 119th double play that they have turned this year, and that is the strength of Kendall Graveman. It's a good two-seam fastball. It's located down. This comes in heavy, which makes it so difficult to lift. It's exactly what he wanted, and the A's and Jed Lowry do a nice job of turning that double play.
So it's going to be up to Rougned Odor to try and get the Rangers on the board first here tonight. comes up empty on strike one. Well, Odor's numbers this year, the power numbers, outstanding. 30 home runs. He got that 30th home run Wednesday up in Seattle. Gives him back-to-back seasons with 30 or more home runs. First time a Ranger has done that since Adrian Beltre ripped off 3 in a row in 2011, 12, and 13. He would love to get Beltre home right here. Last time the Rangers were in town, it did not go well here in Oakland. I think scoring first here might be an important piece of the equation this weekend. Get out quickly, put that last series here in Oakland behind them. You certainly know what's on the line for the Rangers in this wild card race. They can ill afford to lose another game.
Yeah, I think even just setting the tone for these final 7 that they have against the A's, right? I think that is important as well. This is a team that's playing very good right now. They're very confident. So coming out, sure, getting ahead early, getting that first run on the board, but even, you know, kind of making a little bit of a statement here. Sometimes that phrase can be overused, but coming out and having a good, strong first game against the A's, I think is pretty important here. So red hot team. It's got a lot of confidence. We got 7 games remaining. Your final 10. The Rangers kind of want to have their presence known here early on against the A's.
Close pitch there to Odor. 2 balls, 2 strikes. A walk, a single, but then a double play. Odor batting 7th today, and he'll ask for time. Rugi 3 for 18 against Graveman in their careers. 2-2 pitch. And this one hit sharply up the middle, but right there for it, unfortunately, is Semien. Inning is done. Rangers leave a man at third. We've played 1.5 tonight.
Okay, fans.
To the bottom of the 2nd inning tonight. Heart of the order coming for the A's.
Let's get to the forward pitch arsenal for Nick Martinez. 57% fastballs for him. That fastball sits at 93 miles an hour. 19% on the curveball, 12% on the cutter, and 12% as well on the changeup. The cutter, though, that has been the big one for Nick Martinez. Just a 188 batting average against that pitch this year. That's been the big adjustment too. I'll start, Dave. That's been the adjustment for Martinez, getting rid of the slider and going to the cutter, and it's worked out really well for him.
Are you done?
I'm done. Go ahead. Your turn. I'll ring a bell next time. Go.
And 2-0 to Chris Davis. Martinez very good in the first inning. Got a couple of strikeouts of Joyce and Lowry. Ooh, that one, but apparently a little bit in for ball 3.
Strikeouts looking too for Nick Martinez. I think it's a good sign as he is hitting his spots early, even though he's behind the count. It's only 3-0.
Davis hacking away 3-0, and that's the one thing about him and this team. You have to be careful. You certainly cannot assume that 3-0 he would not be swinging. This guy is a big-time threat. Look at those numbers the last 2 seasons against the Rangers. And then, actually, you know what? Look away. Don't look at those numbers.
It's like looking into the sun.
Ball 4, and all things considered, that's not the worst thing that could happen.
No, definitely not. Hey, how about the defense here for the Rangers? It is delivered to you by DeMontron RV. Nomar Mazara out in left. Carlos Gomez back in center. And Shin-Soo Choo is in right. Drew Robinson gets that start at third base. Elvis Andrus and Ruben Odor up the middle. Joey Gallo at first. And Brett Nicholas getting a start over Robinson. Chirinos behind the plate. Good to see Robinson, I think, getting a little bit of a break. I like that. Jeff Bannister picked this game. Ball club got in late last night. Robinson has been grinding out. It seems like he's taken, I don't know, half a dozen foul tips or more off of different parts of his body over this road trip already. And even though we haven't changed time zones, it just feels like a little bit of a jet lag kind of day, right? Yeah, we'll just as far as how late got it, I guess we got to the hotel at about 2:30 or so last night. Get settled in closer to 3 a.m.
Down in the dirt, 1-1 to Matt Olson. Olson, just as hot a hitter as there may be right now in the American League. 23 home runs, 43 driven in. And that doesn't sound like a ton, perhaps. 1-1 pitch. There's a strike. Our TXU Energy power player to watch tonight is Matt Olson. How about this? 19 home runs since the All-Star break. The second most in the American League. Josh Donaldson, the only American leaguer with more. Count stays 1-2.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy as far as what's happening right now. You mentioned those 23 home runs. Well, that's only 206 plate appearances, and you start to say, okay, he'll have to play that game, right? Well, what's that mean over the course of a full season? Well, you're knocking on the door of 70 home runs is the pace that he's on right now, and I don't think anybody certainly expects that to happen, but this guy's made some noise and really made an impression with the ace.
Well, chopper first base, and that's foul.
Now, this is not supposed to happen in baseball, right? You get to the big leagues and you go back a little bit because the big leagues, or if you knew this or not, is harder than the minor leagues. But no, not for Matt Olson. And these are his home run rates. So that's at bats. So he's hitting a home run last year in AAA once every 27 at bats. This year was once every almost 13 at bats. We'll get to the big leagues and he's hitting a home run in less than 1 home run for every 8 at bats. That is not how this is supposed to work.
Well, he drives this ball out to right field. Choo looks up and it is gone. A 2-run homer for Matt Olson, and his incredible run continues. Oakland strikes first tonight.
It's so interesting to watch this guy swing because he is really short to the ball. I'm talking to some scouts about Matt Olson. They said, you know what? The bat speed is actually nothing that's all that impressive. But what he is doing and the adjustments that he has made here recently have been impressive. He's standing up a little straighter. He's shorter to the ball. And he's always had pretty good power. But it's that slight adjustment which has allowed him to get to big league velocity. He's hit big league pitching as well as he has. And the incredible run continues for Matt Olson.
My goodness. And that, you know, there was no doubt when that left the bat. Choo just kind of turned and watched. Here is Ryan Healy, and a good breaking ball in there for a strike.
Is that a 47 combined home runs for him on the season? I believe he had 23.
Yeah, he had 23 home runs in 79 games at AAA Nashville. And now 24 home runs here in like 2 weeks. Or so it feels. Yeah, I'd be smiling too ear to ear. This guy's having a little bit of fun right now. Healy, the designated hitter tonight, and he chases strike 3. That's a 3rd strikeout for Nick Martinez, so he's had that going tonight.
This is a curveball that Nick Martinez uses very well in the 0-2 count, goes well out of the strike zone, and Ryan Healy knew it. Looked like he was in some kind of hurry to get back in the dugout. Good bounce back for Nick Martinez.
So now Chad Pinder, the center fielder. Pinder with 15 home runs this year, but a low on-base percentage for him. The bottom third of this order, overall numbers not very good, but Oakland getting a lot of damage right now from the middle of their order these days. Guys like Matt Olson, Chris Davis. Even Jed Lowry's had a pretty nice season.
Nobody having more fun though than that guy right there.
Strike 2 called on Pinder.
Matt Olson got a little bit of time last year at the big league level here with the A's. And wasn't very much time, but it was 28 plate appearances. He did not hit a home run, did not drive in a run. He only had a few hits. He hit .095 in those 11 games that he got to play last year at the big league level. Now, it doesn't tell you a ton, but you get that first taste. You always want to be successful, and you have those kind of numbers. And certainly easy for doubt to set in. He's bounced back nicely this year.
Another strikeout as Martinez gets Pinder to swing at that one. 4 strikeouts here in the first 2 innings.
Well, you got Nick Martinez when he is ahead, taking advantage this inning of some aggressive hitters. I mean, that ball is not close in the dirt, but he understands, and that's why you do your homework in the scouting reports. You know which guys are going to be aggressive. Chad Pinder, a guy that chases pitches out of the zone 32% of the time. It's a high number that is above league average.
Line shot right to shortstop. Andrews tucks it away, and the inning is done. But Matt Olson with a 2-run homer gets Oakland on the board first tonight. For Oakland tonight as we go to the 3rd inning, and want to make you aware of an opportunity coming up. It's going to be a really special night Tuesday where we can all show our support of the Gulf Coast and Hurricane Harvey relief. Tune in to the ball game Tuesday night, Rangers and Astros, and take part in the Harvey relief benefit. Opportunity to bid on a lot of one-of-a-kind sports and entertainment packages. You can simply donate money to the cause and receive limited edition merchandise and the like. And it's just a great opportunity to help the many who are in such need in South Texas after Hurricane Harvey swept through. And it's going to be a really special night on our broadcast. A lot of news forthcoming too on that, by the way. Stay tuned. We will have announcements. Check out the website, foxsportssouthwest.com, and you'll get the periodic updates, some of the great items that are going to be available. Brett Nicholas starting things here in the third inning, and he is carved up for out number 1. All right, with that, time for a Chevy game break. Let's check in with Dana Larson.
Third baseman, number 18, Drew Robinson.
All right, thanks, Dana. Yeah, that is not the news we were looking for today. Drew Robinson swings and misses at strike 1. So updating the wild card standings, you see the Rangers up to the minute anyway now, 3 games back. Need a win today to be back to 2.5 back. Bouncer back up the middle, but right to Graveman. True away. Well, we were talking about strength of schedule earlier, CJ, and one thing that you can't help but look at on the other side is that a lot of games with Detroit and for the Minnesota Twins, and Detroit basically fired their manager Brad Ausmus today, which I would think make for a even less spirited competition.
Yeah, it's probably a good way to put it. I mean, as far as those guys go, the remaining Tigers probably coming in. They already know what their year is, but it's a little strange, a little flat, right? Coming into that clubhouse and hearing that news today that your manager will not be retained. It does sound like Brad Ausmus will finish out the season at the helm, which is kind of strange. I don't know if I've seen that before with that much time left in the year.
High fly ball down the left field line. Back goes Davis, and that one is gone. Chu with a home run the opposite way, and he has cut this A's lead in half.
What an impressive home run from Shin-Soo Choo to go opposite field here against Kendall Graveman. We have talked a lot about how he does such a great job of limiting the home run. Also, the job he's done against lefties this year has been very strong. This is just the 6th home run that he has allowed to a left-hander this year. He was trying to throw that front door 2-seam fastball, the one that starts out as a ball, comes back and catches the inside corner, but he started it in the middle and ended up on the outer half, and Chu did an excellent job of taking that ball the other way. That is not easy. I see him talking to Joey Gallo a little bit about what he saw. That's a bomb.
Well, that's really similar to the one he hit in Anaheim at the beginning of this road trip. Right down the left field line and curled it in fair. Big home run. Just a huge spot to be able to answer the 2 runs that were put up last half inning by Oakland. And now 1 and 2 the count on Elvis Andrus. Andrus 0 for 1, little tapper on the first base side when he came up in the first inning. And bounces away from Fagley.
Did that clear the net and bounce into the stands?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fastball that bounced over the net behind home plate. That is not something you see every day.
Two balls, 2 strikes. And a roller, shortstop. Simeon is there. Inning is done, but the Rangers get on the board. Shin-Soo Choo with a home run to left field. It's a 2-1 game. as we go to the bottom of the third inning. And our AT&T pitching matchup tomorrow. Miguel Gonzalez, another shot for the Rangers, his 4th start, an 8-11 record against Sean Manaea, who's won 11 games this year for Oakland. Manaea's been pretty good. So first pitch swinging, and this one popped straight up in the air near first base. Gallo right there, and Fagley put away for the first out here in the third inning.
Now batting, the shortstop.
Now Marcus Semien.
Marcus Semien.
Well, outside of the one big swing from Matt Olson, it certainly looks like Nick Martinez is the same Nick Martinez who has put up really incredible numbers in this ballpark in the course of his career. That one to Semien for a strike.
We talk about this a lot with pitchers. There are just certain ballparks you get in, you feel comfortable, you like the mound, you like the warm-up mound, the bullpen. Body just feels good in certain ballparks. I think that's certainly been the case for Nick Martinez. Just over 35 innings pitched here in Oakland. This will be his 6th start, 8 appearance overall. The home run that Olson hit was just the 3rd Nick Martinez has ever allowed here.
Right now, there aren't many sneaking him past Olson. Olson, that was his 13th home run of the month. I think his 9th home run in his last 12 games. So now we've seen a couple of runs like that this year in baseball. I don't know exactly like that, but certainly Aaron Judge.
Rhys Hoskins.
For sure. Cody Bellinger had some pretty stretches. 2-2 count on Marcus Semien. Boy, oh boy, this guy right there. He can't miss him right now.
May have to give him the Bonds treatment.
Yeah. Breaking ball, and this one popped up right side, foul ground. Now there's a lot of territory over there if you can get there. But that one will bounce up in the stands.
Hey, you can wear yourself out here in Oakland chasing foul balls because there is so much room. Of course, the bullpens are in play. And the few ballparks left that has that feature. But easily the most foul territory of any major league ballpark.
Pitch on the way. Bouncer, third base. Drew Robinson bobbles and will not have a play. Oh boy. Marcus Semien is on via the error.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way.
You can almost see this coming here a little bit. It wasn't hit very hard, but it was the in-between hop that ultimately got Drew Robinson here.
Number 23.
It's this thing. Semien's out in front of it, but it's that third hop, and it just jumped up on him. And unfortunately, Drew Robinson unable to catch that clean. You see it right there. It just came up a little bit higher than expected. Saw Kyle Seager go through that a little bit in Seattle. A couple of tough plays. Balls bouncing up on him at Safeco Field.
Runner goes, and the pitch in the dirt. No throw offered, so a stolen base for Semien, his 12th of the year. Now you look at this inning with just one out, and your greatest concern is that error, which then led to the stolen base, doesn't somehow jump up and bite the Rangers here. Joyce struck out in the first, and he hits this one in the air left field. Mazzara ranging in and toward the line, and he is there for out number 2. It's a big outfield in Oakland. And that's one of the other notes one might have made when looking at the starting lineup. You know, you've got Chu in right field, Mazzara in left field. DeShields did not get the start today. Now, Delano does give you that extra element of the outfield of being able to cover so much ground. So there's going to be a little bit of pressure tonight. Talk about a guy who could cover some ground here. But Carlos Gomez, he's playing hurt. Normally you'd say, like, well, that's okay. Carlos can play all 3 of them. but he's hobbled a little bit right now.
He has. This will be interesting to watch. I think Delano DeShields, there's at least a decent chance that he could enter as a defensive replacement late, depending on what's going on in the score of the game. But you're right, there's a lot of room to cover out here. A lot of work. I think that could be part of the reason that Nick Martinez likes pitching here. He's more of a fly ball pitcher. His ground ball rate 41%, just a couple of ticks off what the league average is.
Pickoff play back at second, but Simeon able to get himself back in there.
Elvis Andrews saw what he thought might have been an opportunity to be aggressive with Marcus Simeon, maybe catch him off guard. A lot of times those plays are called from the bench. Sometimes they're put on by the shortstop himself, and then there's other times where you just go based on what you see.
1-1 to Jed Lowry. We mentioned earlier that Lowry has had a pretty good year this year. 47 doubles. And his on base percentage 361 coming in. A switch hitter. Martinez with a long pause. The 1-1. And this one blooped back of second. Drops in, base hit. So Simeon will round third and score. And indeed that error looms large in this one. 3-1 Oakland.
He didn't hit it very hard, but Jed Lowry did exactly what he needed to do to try to get this run in. It looked like Nick Martinez jammed him with something in, and he did. But because it was up, and that's where they were trying to go, maybe to generate the swing and the miss, but Lowry was able to get to that ball and just kind of softly poke it into center field.
So the veteran switch hitter drives home a big run. Gets Oakland back to that 2-run lead, and here is Chris Davis. That's the other part of this now, is you have to face Davis here with a man on, and he swings and pops this one up. Short right field. Odor goes out from second, and he'll put that one away. The inning is done, but one pitch too late as Jed Lowry drives home a run and makes it 3-1 Oakland.
Home of the Swingin' A's.
Downtown Oakland. CJ used to go over there for a little dip.
Did you know that off the top of your head?
Hey, this Wednesday, speaking off the top of my head, it is your last chance for dollar hot dogs, courtesy of the Texas Chili Company. Don't miss the last midweek day game, Rangers and Astros final game of that series. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com or by calling 972-RANGERS. It's Lake Merritt, dude, of course.
It's like the world's smallest lake. It looked pretty tiny.
I don't think it's the world's smallest. Here's Mazzara. Mazara, Beltre, and Gallo in this 4th inning, and Nomar spoils that one. 1-1 the count. No, I didn't know that off the top of my head.
Oh, well, I know you knew this area pretty well.
I do, but I did not know that one. In fact, last year I was told that that was Lake Merritt, and I think my response was basically like, what? That's a thing? You're supposed to know? People know that? Yeah, I guess it's a big deal here. Hard grounder, foul. 1-2 to Mazara.
Love the no reaction from the security guard there.
Dude,
no interest in trying to field that ball, even though it was clearly foul. I got better things to do than to stick my bare hand out here. I mean, look at this, nothing. Not a flinch, nothing. Ice in the veins. That's nothing I haven't seen before. Look, people yelling at, hey, how come you didn't catch that?
I'm security, man.
Yeah.
I'm not a ball boy.
You see a glove here?
Yes, but not a baseball glove. Here's the 1-2. Just missed. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Mazara, who grounded out in the 1st inning.
Graveman keeps trying to work that front door 2-seam fastball to the lefties. Mentioned he's been very good against them this year. 240 coming into tonight.
Too long a pause that time, and Mazara will reset it. Top of the 4th inning. And now the 2-2. Full count. So I said earlier, it seems like we see a lot of Graveman. And we do. How about this little note? There's only one pitcher who has thrown more innings against the Rangers this year than Kendall Graveman. Number 1, that surprises me a little bit.
Yep. So, but he's had 3 starts, right? This is his 4th against the Rangers.
Yeah. This one hit well out to center field, but not going to carry. And tucked away by Pinder. 1 away.
Is it? Think about this for a minute.
I'll tell you, there are a couple other guys who have made 4 starts.
Okay.
Tyler Skaggs.
Okay.
Felix Hernandez.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mike Fiers.
Really? Fiers has made 4 starts?
Yeah. But I will also tell you, none of them have thrown more innings than Graveman has in 3 starts against the Rangers.
Not Paxton, is it?
By the way, how about that throw back to the mound?
That's pretty good.
Going out to center field. All right. New baseball for Graveman. No, not Paxton. Now, that would have been one of my top guesses. Jesse Chavez.
Oh.
23 innings.
Multiple roles for him, both as a starter and a reliever.
1-0 pitch. And that's a strike to Beltre. So Graveman in his previous 3 starts have gone 20 2/3 innings. And now working here in the 4th. 1-1. A little bit tight.
And the thing about that is a lot of times you'd say, okay, well, that certainly gives the advantage, should give the advantage to the hitters. But if you have something that works well against a team, and it's rare that you can continue to do the same thing over and over again to big league hitters, but if you have something that works well, in the case of Kendall Graveman, it's his fastball, high usage of the fastball as well. And you could see it if the Rangers have a hard time getting that ball in the air with any consistency, and his 2-seam fastball is on, you can see why he might be successful with multiple innings in 1 year against his club. It's one thing when it's Chris Sale. Okay, yeah, well, he's nasty and he's got a pretty deep repertoire. It's a little bit of a different look here with a guy like Graveman.
It goes to a full count again. And that's one thing the Rangers have done a decent job here early on, is make him work. The payoff to Beltre. Bounce to third base. And a routine play for Chapman. 2 away. So we talk about this series, or the 7 of the remaining 10 games being against Oakland, and boy, the numbers really even, except in one category: home runs.
And they went the direction which we would think would be the other way around.
Yeah.
That does include tonight, where the A's have hit 10 more home runs against the Rangers. That is really surprising. That guy certainly has been a contributor, and also now a contributor as well. It's Chris Davis that we were showing you the first time. But the new kid on the block getting it done. that Chris Davis is really old. He's not.
It's just that he's done it so many times. It's getting old. Here's the 1-0. And that's ball 2 to Joey Gallo. Gallo had a base hit in the second inning. And certainly a guy who could lead the yard at any moment. 38 times this year he's hit it over the fence. Well, actually 37 times. One of those times wasn't inside the park. 2-0. And that one finds the outside corner. Rangers with 2 hits so far. Gallo's base hit, Chu's home run. And it's 2-2. Graven, by the way, with all the innings pitched against the Rangers this year and all that work that he has done, he has a 2.61 ERA against Texas. Just misses outside, another full count. In fact, that's a 4th full count already tonight for Graven. Payoff on the way, and that is ball 4. So Graven puts Gallo aboard, and it gets Carlos Gomez to the plate. Second walk he has issued tonight.
A couple of really good at bats for Joey Gallo against Graven. Carlos Gomez will get a chance to try to extend this inning. He hit into that big double play, the 5-4-3. See it there in his first at bat.
Well, represents the potential tying run here. Now it's only the 4th inning. Gomez, those 17 home runs. And hits this one out to center field. Racing in for Pender, can't get there. Gallo turns and goes to third. They'll stop him there. Bloop single by Carlos Gomez, and the Rangers have him on the corner. Yeah, I love the old hand grenade signal, but it was perfect.
Take it any way that you can get it, and this almost got a little interesting. You're going to watch his base hit off the what looked like inside part of the bat, maybe jammed a little bit here for Carlos Gomez, very similar to the base hit that we saw Jed Lowry hit. But watch Pinder right here. He misses the ball. He misread the spin. So had Matt Joyce not been there to back him up, there's a chance that Joey Gallo, who took a peek but kept running hard the entire way, could have scored had Matt Joyce not been there.
So now first and third for Odor, who hit a ball hard in the second inning. But right to the shortstop, Semien lifts this one high in the air. Out to right center field. Pender is over, but it is the right fielder Joyce who puts it away, and the inning is done. Rangers leave them on the corners. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning, 3-1.
All right, fans, are you ready for more fan?
Bridge here in San Francisco / Oakland. We are, of course, at O.co, opening a 3-game series against the Oakland A's. Rangers trailing 3-1, and Nick Martinez back out for the bottom of the 4th. It has been a bit of a back-and-forth season for Nick as he has gone from the bullpen to the rotation and back and forth a number of times. He says knowing what's coming, at least these last couple of starts, has been nice for him to get into a routine. We all know that baseball players are creatures of habit, and perhaps starting pitchers more so than anyone. So for him to be able to get in that groove, know his plan each day, he hopes will pay dividends here tonight, guys.
Yeah, it is really important. I mean, you don't get to choose all the time when you're a swing man, right? Going back in 4th, but like Emily was saying, the habits and the preparation for starts so important to guys. Nobody likes to be taken by surprise, not sure what their next role is going to be. Are they going back to the bullpen? Are they starting? So hopefully for Nick Martinez, maybe he can catch a little bit of a groove. Those 4 days in between starts, they are all detailed out as far as what you want to do, which days you're throwing bullpens, long toss, what workouts you're doing, all that stuff to help prepare you for your starts.
There's 1-1, and there's a bouncing ball near second base, where Andrews picks it up and throws out Olson, 1 away. Good to see that guy going back into the dugout. Hey, don't miss the last post-game fireworks show of the season next Friday, a week from today, when this series flips location. A's in town to play the Rangers. After the game, fireworks show set to the players' walk-up music. You can get a 20% discount on upper reserve tickets for this Friday home game. Just go to TexasRangers.com/specials to get your tickets for Friday night fireworks. Having fireworks here tonight after the game.
Should be fun.
Martinez runs one inside for a ball on Ryan Healy. Well, key to this inning, Olson was retired to start it, and now a bouncer foul makes the count 1-1 on Ryan Healy. The sense that Olson is going to be a real focal point, not just in this 3-game series, but in this final weekend change now of the regular season. Breaking ball, and that one is bounced sharply through into left field. So Healy is on. And that's the 3rd hit of the night for Oakland. So this is interesting, CJ. When you look at what Oakland has done at home and what they have done on the road. 42 wins here. That's 6th best in the American League. Now, they are an awful road team. Just 27 wins away from the Coliseum. It begs the question, why would they be so much better here? I mean, I understand, you know, listen, there's always a little bit of an advantage to playing at home, but that's pretty dramatic.
It is. Now, is the question that they just play really well here, or has it just been so brutal on the road? You see it there, right? 14th, or you did see it there, where they were 14th as far as those road wins go. But you look at them, and 9 games over 500 at home. That's certainly, you know, a good number. I think I'm asking the question, if I'm running this ball club, what's happening on the road? What has been, you know, the issue for this team? Obviously, travel when you're up here in this part of the country, maybe a little bit of a challenge, but I think it's more about those struggles on the road, which is good for the Rangers, of course, at the end of the season. They can stay in this thing with the A's coming to Arlington. You'll take that.
Well, Chopper at third base. Robinson quickly to second one. The relay not in time. That was going to be a tough one to turn from the start, that high, slow chopper. But they'll take that force out at second base.
That's a good aggressive play by Drew Robinson. A lot of guys sometimes will just pick that ball clean and take the out at first, but see him collect himself, make a really perfect throw to Rougned Odor, giving him every opportunity, even though, as you mentioned, this was going to be a really tough turn. Rugi did everything he could. It's a good job by Drew Robinson giving him that perfect feed.
All right, so 2 gone. And here is Matt Chapman. 3-1, Oakland leading as we play here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Chapman lined out in the 2nd inning, a .227 hitter coming in with 13 home runs. check at first base on Pinder, who has 2 steals this year in 3 tries. Hard liner, shortstop, and Andrews takes it on a short hop. And they'll get the force out of Pinder to win the inning. So quiet, bottom of the 4th. We go to the 5th inning, 3-1 Oakland. Three to 1, A's leading as we go to the 5th inning. Yesterday, and you might have missed this yesterday in the broadcast we showed you, there was a design and project update for the new Globe Life Field yesterday back in Arlington, and they released some of the new renderings, and they are spectacular. Looking ahead, ballpark to open in 2020, and it looks so cool. Let's go.
It's an exciting time for Ranger fans, and really that whole Rangers Live, everything that's going to be going in. There's already some construction going on around Globe Life Park right now. So some of that Texas Live stuff will be open even before the stadium will be. That Lowe's Hotel is expected to open up in 2019.
Chopper, left side of the infield. Chapman cuts it off, and Nicholas retired to start the 5th inning. So Kendall Graveman continuing to get it done for Oakland, and we'll deal with Drew Robinson now. So this will complete 2 times through the order so far. Rangers with 3 hits off of Graveman, including the home run by Chu. And he gets a strike right in there to Robinson. So he a little bit better than half of the hitters he has faced. Graveman has started them with strike 1. Robinson lifts this one out to left field. Davis to his left. And there are 2 away. Well, Robinson put a pretty decent charge into that one, but as we've noted, a lot of room out there and time for guys to run underneath them. And so now Chu. Graveman, 26 years old, 6'2", 200 pounds, and he was one of 4 players that the A's got in a trade with Toronto in the Josh Donaldson deal after the 2014 season. And that's a pretty good get.
It was a good get, and that was a trade that was not well received here by the Oakland A's fans. Of course, Josh Donaldson, a really good player here, and one that like he kind of fit the mold of the Oakland A's, right? They just kind of loved the personality. Good outgoing guy, played hard, does still play hard, but just a really good player. So they were upset, and it did seem like it was a little bit early too, right? We know that the A's will move on from players when they start to get a little bit too expensive. They were still, what, 3 years of control I'm not mistaken, on Josh Donaldson. So it seemed a little bit early to make that move. But when you see Kendall Graveman getting it done, I think that probably helps a little bit. Who else was in that deal? Do you remember that in front of you?
No, that's a good question. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, Brett Lawrie, Sean Nolan, Franklin Barreto.
All right. So Barreto's here. He's got 2 guys on the big league roster. It's always encouraging. But Graveman is the guy. You know, he's turned into a good regular starting pitcher, and still lots of years in front of him. And so I think when you look back at that trade another couple of years from now, his success will dictate whether or not it was a win for the A's.
Full count now on Chu. Chu got him for the home run in the 3rd inning. Otherwise, Graveman has cruised so far tonight. Payoff pitch. And that's strike 3 call. Just a second strikeout of the night for Graveman. And it completes a 1-2-3 top of the 5th. 3-1 Oakland. Go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Hey, tickets for groups of 20 or more start at just $12 and offer great savings off gate prices. Group pricing available in 9 different seating areas, plus the all-inclusive Cholula all-you-can-eat seats. So bring your group out to the ballpark for the last home stand of the season. Purchase your tickets at texasrangers.com/groups. All right, last of the 5th here. Josh Phegley will lead things off for Oakland, as he did in the 3rd inning. And he takes strike 1. Then it'll be back up top for Marcus Semien and Matt Joyce. Well, another first pitch strike for Nick Martinez. He's done that 12 times in the first 18 he has faced. Pretty good. He's ahead 0-2 now on Phegley. 13 of 18.
My guess, we got the great stat guys spitting it out for us.
It wasn't a guess. It's just bad math.
No.
Sometimes I don't tally things up quite right. One out of fingers. Phegley chases one in the dirt. Nicholas will have to pick it up and complete the strikeout with the throw down to first base. 1 away.
We saw Nick Martinez come out with 4 quick strikeouts through the first 2 innings and had not recorded one since. So good to see him get another strikeout on the board. Not necessarily a huge part of Nick's game, just a 5.3 strikeout per 9 rate coming into this one. He uses that cutter a lot to get contact. Same thing with his fastball. I mentioned a lot of fly balls as well for Nick Martinez.
Well, now Semien, who reached on a big error in the 3rd inning. stole second base and would later score on a 2-out single by Jed Lowry. That added a key run for these A's. Drives this one to the alley out there in left field, and it drops in front of the wall. Semien goes to second, and he'll hold there with a 1-out double.
This ball was well struck by Marcus Semien, his 19th double of the season. And you mentioned how much outfield is here in this ballpark, and as soon as this ball was hit, you knew nobody was going to have a chance to get to it. It was hit right in between Nomar Mazara and Carlos Gomez into that gap. A 1-out double for Marcus Semien.
So now Matt Joyce, who is 0 for 2, he struck out looking, and is also flying out to left field. Martinez wants a new set of signs. Joyce batting in the second spot of the order for Oakland tonight, but he can do some damage. 24 home runs and 64 driven in.
Matt Joyce has really bounced back well over these last couple of seasons. 37 home runs for him over the last 2 years. 2016 he played with the Pirates, and obviously here now with the Oakland A's. But a couple of years ago when he was playing for the Angels back in 2015, he had a pretty rough year. 174 with just 5 home runs in part-time duty. Kind of wondered for him at 30 years old what would the future hold, but these last two have been pretty good.
Oh, and this one bounces up the middle and into right center field. Semien will score. Joyce with the RBI single. It's 4-1 Oakland. It looked like Odor might just be able to knock that one down, but it just got by him.
And he's still on the ground. He hasn't hopped up yet. He had a chance, maybe with full extension, to get to this ball, and you'll see it here. That ball was hit off the end of the bat, but you had Rougned Odor, who was playing to the right side with the left-hander Joyce up, and so as this ball goes up the middle, and you see Marcus Semien getting a nice jump and scoring pretty easily. But we saw Rougned Odor go full extension trying to knock that ball down, and unfortunately he was unable to do it. When you see him there now trying to get up, it looked like his left arm was bugging him. If he landed on his shoulder or his elbow, exactly what that is, but he stayed on the ground for a while.
I wasn't sure if he was like caught between a full-on dive or if he just had second thoughts, because it was a little awkward. It wasn't like he just completely laid out. Watch, he caught himself with that right leg. It's like he started to dive and then put the landing gear down a little bit.
Second baseman.
He's going to be okay.
You see how frustrated he is. Now, I don't think he could have got to that ball. It's a tough one. And you're always taught to at least try to dive and knock that ball down if you can to prevent the run from scoring. But he was playing so far in the hole that he was unable to get to it. I mean, we were talking about this in the open a little bit. We started talking about it last night with the way that Adrian Beltre is playing through pain and injuries. Carlos Gomez doing the same thing. And so that example kind of gets set for these other guys. And Rougned Odor right there looked like he had zero interest in coming out of the game, although he looked like he was pretty shaken up.
Quick check in with Joyce. Lowry with an RBI single in the third inning, and again trying to keep Joyce close. He has stolen 4 this year in 5 tries, and you see the activity now on the Rangers bullpen. Ricky Rodriguez, Yoander Mendez both throwing out there. Pitch count low for Nick Martinez, but just not much room here with 10 games remaining, including tonight.
Yeah, it's a different feel as far as how Jeff Bannister handles those starters. The leashes are going to be significantly shorter for all pitchers, for that matter, not just your starting pitchers. And so even though that ball wasn't hit that hard, one of the runs, of course, was unearned. Jeff Bannister has to keep a close eye on each pitcher. Not let anybody get too deep, get into too much trouble, give up too many runs.
It was a strikeout to start the inning. Simeon got the double, and then Joyce with a base hit. They had 2 in the second inning, and then a single run in both the third and now fifth innings. Martinez looks like his stuff has been pretty good. Let's face it, there was an error that hurt him in the third inning. And he's had a couple that have just gone like a hair beyond the reach of his defenders. This one down the left field line, slices away foul, and it's 1-2. Meanwhile, we already learned that earlier today the Twins beat Detroit 7-3. So that puts additional pressure here. Now the Angels have lost tonight. They were in Houston and they got blanked by the Astros 3-0. So the Angels now officially 3.5 games out.
Justin Verlander started that game just 1 hit allowed.
Odor flipped the second one. The relay in time. Double play. And so the inning is done on the 4-6-3 Twin killing. We'll go to the 6th inning. And the 2, 3, and 4 hitters, Elvis Andrus, Nomar Mazara, and Adrian Beltre coming up. Time for the Sonic Slam inning, brought to you by Sonic Drive-In. Jackpot is $100 tonight, plus dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. Kimberly Wright from Forney, Texas, our contestant. So she's hoping a Ranger will hit a home run. That would win her $100. And of course, look, if it's a grand slam, she'll take that too, because that's an additional $25,000. All right, well, here we go. 6th inning all of a sudden. And Kendall Graveman pitching pretty well tonight. Elvis Andrus leads things off, and he takes strike 1 from Graveman. Andrus 0 for 2 with a couple of groundouts. Time called. Like Fegley wanted that one. It's 0-2. Now Graveman in a spot here where it's 73 pitches. You're looking at a guy who can go pretty deep into this ball game. Slow roller, second base, and Lowry throws out Andrus, 1 away. Right, time for a Chevy game break. Let's check in again with Dana Larson.
Now batting, number Mazzara.
All right, thanks, Dana. Yeah, that's an important one for Kansas City, to be sure. As now Nomar Mazzara steps in. He is 0 for 2. He's rolled out and flied out.
We'll see if the Royals have a run in them. Their story has been essentially keeping the band together, right? All those free agents that they have that are scheduled to hit free agency this year. Lorenzo Cain, Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas, who just set the single season run record for any Royal.
Ground ball to right field. Mazzara is aboard here in the 6th inning.
Well, I mentioned that Graveman, of course, is such a ground ball specialist, and that means going down and getting pitches and trying to hit them through the infield like Nomar Mazzara does right there. Matt Olson gives it a pretty good effort.
Beltre 0 for 1 with a walk. And he shoots this one to the right side, way out of play.
Talking about that pitch count for Kendall Graveman at 77. He has gone triple digits in 5 of his starts this year. But he's yet to throw more than 7 innings. That's the one thing that's a little bit of a surprise for a guy like this. See where he can catch a groove.
This ball smashed high in the air, deep right center field. Back on it is Pender, and he can't get it. And he goes down in a heap into third base, and stopped there is Mazzara. Beltre with a double. And boy, did Pender go down hard.
He went into that wall really hard, and this ball continued to carry in the right center gap. Bob Melvin just kind of standing there watching first to see if Pender's going to be okay, but watch this ball continue to get some legs in the gap, and Pender dove, and it looked like he thought that wall was a little bit closer than it was. Dove a little bit early, kind of get in between, and so now the trainer has already started heading out there, and at this point there's no going back. Even if he's fine, you can't go halfway. And it's not just a big outfield for the players, it's a big outfield for the trainer, who was all the way out there.
I was running.
Bob Melvin is not going to give the same effort. He's going to walk out to second base, and now he takes the left turn, and he does jog out there. Watch it here. You're going to see him jump up, and you're kind of guessing a little bit where you think the wall is, and it was a little bit further than he expected. Now, when you jump up too, you're also anticipating when is the impact going to be, and like Pender was off just a little bit. You see him there, just kind of jolt the upper part of his back. Bob Melvin says, all right, well, came all the way out here. You better be okay.
Well, the scary thing there is that the whiplash as he went into that wall, and how his head may have contacted the wall. He's going to be a little sore tomorrow in the shoulder and back area, but I think the question right now might well be, did his head snap back and hit that wall hard?
No, you're right. That is a legitimate concern. Baseball's done a nice job as far as how we treat concussions now, keeping an eye on those kinds of things and going through the protocol. But it does appear that Pender is fine and will stay in the game. And here's that kind of whiplash that you were talking about. See it there. Watch his head just kind of come forward.
Now batting,
a little bit early, but he is staying in the game.
All right, so Beltre with a double. Rangers now second and third, 1 out, and here comes Joey Gallo.
And this is really an opportunity where the Rangers need to cash in. Only been a few of them so far here tonight, and the idea of putting a little bit more pressure on Kendall Graveman, trying to get him out of the game. The bullpen here has been okay with the A's.
Gallo shoots it over to the left side, out of play, foul.
Ironically enough, the Rangers and the A's came in with the same exact bullpen ERA tonight, 4.67. Similar type of bullpens when you look at their numbers, and so certainly getting Graveman out of the game into the bullpen, something the Rangers would like to do.
We'd like to cash in with runners in scoring position too. That has been a struggle tonight. The only run scoring hit was the home run by Chu, and that came with the bases empty. Zara with a 1-out single, followed by Beltre's double. Infield plays Gallo to pull it. That one off into the bat. 1-2 the count. Joey 1 for 7 off Graveman coming into play today, but has a single and a walk so far. So he's had a good feel at least in tonight's game. Tied for 3rd in the American League with those 38 home runs. How much would they give for one right here? And he strikes out swinging. 2 away in the 6th inning.
Well, just the 3rd strikeout of the night for Kendall Graveman, but this was a big one against Joey Gallo, and they go out of the zone with off speed. Joey Gallo unfortunately could not lay off that pitch, and you're sitting there and expecting so many fastballs from Kendall Graveman, and when he flips you a wrinkle, change up the cutter, even that breaking ball throws you off a little bit, and unfortunately Joey Gallo unable to make contact.
So it's going to be in the hands of Carlos Gomez. 6th inning. And Gomez takes inside. Gomez hit into a double play. He is also single. The base hit that he had in the 4th inning was into shallow center. Just checking Pender to see how he wants to play it in center field. Looks like he's creeping in just a little bit. 2-0. Carlos had been swinging a hot bat. Now he got hurt and had to take a couple of games off. But when he has been in there, he has made a difference. Rangers are 7-3 in the 10 games he's played. And it's 3-0. And in the month, in those 10 games, he's hitting .375 with a couple of home runs, 6 doubles, and 7 RBIs. So having Carlos Gomez in the lineup, not a trivial matter right now for Jeff Bannister and the Rangers. Inside, that one almost got him.
Sound like it did.
Yeah, might have even gotten a piece of him. No real indication from plate umpire Vic Carapazza. But the bases are loaded.
I think Carlos Gomez just called it himself. Sometimes you got to step in. Let's take a look here. He turns in.
Number 12.
I don't know. I think that might have just been ball 4.
Yeah, I guess so. It sounded like it though. Thought I heard something there, but I guess not.
Well, the bases are loaded for Rougned Odor. Remember, Rugi hit a huge grand slam in Seattle, part of a 7-run 4th inning. It was on Wednesday night, and he taps this one foul along the first base line. 0-1 the count. Mazara 3rd, Beltre 2nd, Gomez at 1st.
As much as we talked about and have been talking about Graveman using that fastball so much, it's kind of been the opposite for Rougned Odor, who has only seen 2 fastballs so far tonight from Graveman. Seen the cutter, he's seen the slider, seen 3 changeups now out of the 9 pitches that he has seen.
Well, he's ahead here 0-2 on Odor. Rugi has had a couple of opportunities tonight with runners in scoring position. Lined out the first time, flied out the second time. This the biggest of the opportunities for him this evening, the 0-2. And he struck out swinging. Some frustration for Rougned Odor and the Rangers. They leave him loaded in the 6th. Last of the 6th coming. Oakland leads by 3. the big story tonight. And this one in Los Angeles. Giants and Dodgers. Yeah. Cody Bellinger. That is a new National League record for Bellinger. His 39th home run of the season. Broke the record initially set by Wally Berger of the Braves in 1930, and then Frank Robinson tied it in 1956. Well, now there's a new rookie record in the National League.
Some of these home run records, though, they're falling like crazy. I want to see you start to yawn a little bit, but like, yeah, okay, yeah, we know what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that's, obviously hasn't happened. What'd you say, 56?
Yeah,
for Frank Robinson.
Yeah.
Should be a bigger deal than it feels like.
High fly ball out to center field. Gomez positions himself and makes the play. One out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. I'm with you. I'm a little desensitized to the home runs and the big numbers we're seeing. Remember at the beginning of the year, first couple of months, we were mouth agape at some of the things we were seeing. And then you start seeing everybody doing it. And it has gotten to that point now where you're, you know, I don't want to say nonplussed, but just a little bit, you know, less impressed.
I think some people now anticipating that both rookie home run records will be broken. We'll see if Aaron Judge can get there or not, breaking Mark McGwire's all-time rookie home run record. What's he, 3 away now, I believe? Feels like that one would fall. Of course, we've already seen the total number of home runs hit in the season. That record has fallen. Still feel like 73 is safe. You know, with Barry, not this year for sure, but just in general. It is such an absurd number that we've had 2 players in our history hit 70 or more home runs in a season. It's pretty ridiculous. But the other ones, like you said, I agree, get a little desensitized to it because it just seems like the other day, the last couple of weeks, we're hearing something about a new home run record falling.
Which is an interesting segue into the guy batting right now, Matt Olson, who has been a phenomenal story for Oakland here lately. It's this one high in the air to left field. Mazzara into foul ground, and he makes the catch. There are 2 away. So second time tonight, the Rangers have retired Olson, who has turned a lot of heads here in Oakland. And Nick Martinez trying to get through this inning. You look at Olson walking off. When Yonder Alonso was traded on August 8th, Olson, started getting some regular playing time. From the beginning of the year to August 8th, he was up and down from the minor leagues 6 times. Wow. Played in 18 games. And yet, while he was down there at AAA, was doing well. 23 homers in 79 games. But now that he's gotten the regular playing time here at the big leagues, he has shown like, well, it's easier in the big leagues than it was at AAA for him. Hitting a home run every 8 at bats.
That's been the amazing part. That he has been better at the big league level when it comes to power. And if you're looking for more to feed into your conspiracy theory for those that believe it in the baseballs, that will probably contribute a little bit. We say, well, how come these guys are hitting higher rates, home runs at a higher rate than they were at AAA? Those balls are different. They are completely different. Big league baseballs compared to minor league baseballs, but not that different.
Foul back to our right and out of play by Ryan Healy. 2 out here in the 6th inning. Nobody on base, but Oakland leading 4-1.
We saw Healy strike out in his first at bat and chased a pitch out of the zone. He is a very difficult guy to walk. Let's just say 3.5% walk rate. That's the 4th lowest in Major League Baseball. So the guy will chase out of the zone. We saw Nick Martinez use the breaking ball out of the zone in his first at bat. In the second at bat, he left a breaking ball in the zone for Ryan Healy, who is a good hitter. He's not a patient hitter. He's not going to walk. He's got a good swing. Doesn't get on base a ton, but 25 home runs and a 270 batting average. He's getting it done in the big leagues.
3-1 pitch, and he fouls it off. Oakland with a pair of runs in the 2nd, and then single tallies in the 3rd and 5th innings so far tonight. 4 runs on just 5 hits. And no errors. Meanwhile, the Rangers 1 run on 5 hits, 1 very big error. And Rougned Odor 0 for 3. He has stranded 6 runners. Swing and a miss, and Healy strikes out in the 6th inning. It's a 1-2-3 for Nick Martinez. So off to the 7th inning we go. Oakland up by 3.
And it's time for the ever good Hall of Fame race.
Yet tonight, but most of it on the A's side so far as we get going here in the 7th inning. Our progressive upcoming schedule: 2 more games here in Oakland tomorrow evening, Sunday afternoon, and then it's back home to wrap up the regular season. 3 games against the Astros Monday through Wednesday, including a day game on Wednesday, and then Oakland for 4 Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the Rangers still on the cusp of that final wild card in the American League, but they're going to have to get it done largely against this Oakland team. First pitch swinging, and Brett Nicholas sends this one deep out into right field. The center fielder Pinder ranges over and makes the play. 1 out.
You always wonder if after banging into the wall as hard as Pinder did, maybe he's a little gun shy getting close to the wall that time. Very similar spot. Now this ball was hit a lot higher, but he does a good job of navigating the track and the wall.
Well, Rangers went with their left-handed hitters in the lineup today. Drew Robinson got the start at third base. Hopes that some of those lefties could do some damage against Kendall Graveman. And Robinson takes one in for ball 1.
And so far it hasn't happened here. You look at the bottom of the order: 7, 8, 9, 0 for 8 with a couple of strikeouts. And Joey Gallo does have a base hit and a walk, but Joey Gallo you expect to be in the lineup all the time.
Sure.
Chu has the home run, but you look at the bottom half, I think that's where there's some interchangeable parts between Brett Nicholas and Drew Robinson, the catcher in the third base position. You know, it's tough, I think, for Jeff Bannister trying to pick those right spots for the guys. You got to give some guys the day off once in a while. Robinson Trino certainly deserved of one. He's okay. Well, you got the righty Graveman going. That seems to make some sense. But then you dig in the numbers, and I mentioned this earlier. Graveman's been 65 points better as far as batting average goes when it comes to lefties versus righties. That's kind of surprising, to be honest with you, that it's that much of a difference. But sometimes batting average doesn't tell the whole story.
2-2 to Drew Robinson. And he hits this ball sharply into right field, base hit. So there, it did work out for him. Joyce bobbled it momentarily, but not to any further damage.
This has to feel good for Drew Robinson, who's been in a little bit of a slump, and there it was where a pitch that Kendall Graveman wanted in, couldn't get it all the way in. Drew Robinson was all over it. Very similar to what we saw with Chu on the home run.
to see some activity out of that Oakland bullpen. It's like Coulomb picks up a baseball and will try and get that blood flowing just a little bit. Robinson at first base draws some interest. Is now the top of the order. Shin-Soo Choo steps in. Choo is already homered tonight. Graveman does not give up many home runs. It's just the 11th he's allowed this season. So a man on, one out. Rangers need to start cashing in.
Yeah, last inning was a tough one to swallow with 3 base runners. Ultimately, the bases were loaded. They could not get a run in. As you get deeper in this game, the opportunities become fewer and fewer. You would like to see the Rangers try to get a run or two on the board here in the 7th. Tony Barnett now up in the bullpen, and because he is up now with 1 out, you got to believe that Nick Martinez's night might be over.
Choo takes low, 1-1 the count. Ground out a strikeout, but the home run. And he's been flashing a little bit of that power again recently. It's this one on the ground. Shortstop Semien puts the tag on Robinson, but the throw to first not in time. A collision out there near second base as Semien, after he put the tag on Drew Robinson, went running right into Tom Hallion, the second base umpire.
Yeah, this is one of those interesting plays that the shift ends up causing a little bit as far as Marcus Semien, who was on the second base side of second. He is the shortstop, so he comes over, decides to make that tag. Now, he made the throw to first base, but he had absolutely no chance at getting Choo. You see him here sprinting at Drew Robinson, but after he applies the tag and then makes the throw. Let's see. Oh, we didn't get a chance to see it, but it did look like he banged into the second base umpire.
It's now 2 gone for Elvis Andrus. Elvis 0 for 3. He's hit it on the ground all 3 times. Averages dip below 300 now for Andrus. He fights that one off. 1-1 the count.
Yeah, this is not an ideal matchup for Elvis. Not that he can't put the ball in play. Of course he can. He has. But as far as him getting the ball up in the air, Elvis Andrus as a hitter has a 48% ground ball rate. That's very high. It's above league average. And then you get a ground ball pitcher like Kendall Graveman. That's kind of that perfect formula where if Graveman is making his pitches, chances are Elvis Andrus is going to hit the ball on the ground. He has so far in all 3 of his at-bats.
Chopper, third base. A little bit of time. And Andrus retired. Rangers leave another man. They've stranded 7 through 7. And Oakland with a 3-run lead. Time now for the Ford game summary, and Matt Olson did not disappoint Oakland fans tonight. His 20th home run since the All-Star break. The guy has been unreal. And Shin-Soo Choo continues his hot stretch. Another home run tonight. He has hit home runs in back-to-back games. But it is a 4-1 Oakland lead as we go to the last of the 7th.
Yeah, Tony Barnett now in for the Rangers. Let's take a look at the forward-to-pitch arsenal for Tony. It's the cutter 46% of the time, the fastball 33%, the curveball at 17%, and that split finger, rarely used, but sometimes at 4%.
First pitch, and this one fouled back out of play for strike one on Pender, who has had an adventurous night in the outfield and is 0 for 2 at the plate. Barnett. Granted. Rangers flinch first tonight, going to the bullpen, and Barnett's next pitch. This one lofted out to center field. Gomez right there, 1 away. Well, the final Throwback Thursday is going to be September 28th. Rangers and the A's. First 10,000 fans get a Papa John's Texas Rangers Throwback Thursday collector pin, and this one commemorating Adrian Beltre's 5 gold gloves. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com or by calling 972 Rangers. Well, 1 away. Now Chapman. And one of the things coming into this game you had to be at least aware of was that it really hasn't been just Chris Davis this year for Oakland, although he has been tough as he was last year. 2 guys, not huge numbers this year. Chad Pender, who just flying out a moment ago, and this guy Matt Chapman. Look at these numbers: 6 for 11, 5 for 12. They've combined for 4 home runs. You know, they have done a lot of damage today, batting 7th and 8th in the order.
They have, and probably names that you weren't expecting to see those kinds of numbers against the Rangers this year. But you have those years sometimes where there's guys that surprise you, and I think especially when you're talking about the A's and not knowing a lot of these guys and the high turnover on the roster.
Ball and 2 strikes, and Barnett tries to get him to chase, but he would not. 2-2. Mentioned earlier, the numbers have not been great for Chapman. This is a 227 average. And he scoops this one out to center field. That's a base hit. Oh, he went down and got that one.
He did. That's a good at-bat. Part of Matt Chapman. This is a pretty good pitch here from Tony Barnett. We'll take a look at the swing first from Chapman.
Now batting the catcher.
Trying to go down and in. The ball was down as below the zone, even though Tony missed on the other side of the plate. You'll take that pitch. That's a good miss down. You see Chapman there just going down and getting it.
So the base runner on brings up the 9th place hitter. Fagley today is 0 for 2. Bottom third of the order for Oakland has 1 hit now and 8 at bats. So the Rangers have held those guys down tonight, guys who have been trouble spots in the past this year. You go back and you look at this one, the one swing by Olson, the big 2-run homer. And then the error in the 3rd inning was a really tough one. Led to an unearned run. 0-2 to count now on Fagley. And then they chipped away for a 4th run of the 5th inning. just a little bit wide. So it's 2-2. Well, earlier today, Angels have lost. Royals were beaten today, but the Twins beat Detroit 7-3. Even Tampa Bay got a win today. And even though they're still even a bit more on the fringes, on a day where just about everybody else is losing, that win could be huge for them. As Fagley swings and misses, and they're 2 away here in the 7th inning.
This is the good Tony Barnett cutter. This is bread and butter for him. Watch the location of this pitch and the late break down and away. Started on the outside corner, just finishes off the plate, but it's a cutter that's got a little bit of downward action as well. More often than not, you'll see cutters kind of stay on the same plane, stay a little bit flat, but Tony put some tilt on that one. Fagley swung right over the top of it.
Well, Nick Martinez tonight went 6 innings, gave up 4 runs on 5 hits, walked 1, struck out 6. Barnett trying to work through this 7th inning scoreless, and he's going to have to take care of this guy, the leadoff man for Oakland. Long hold and the pitch to Semien, up and away. Semien's been a big factor in this one, scoring half of Oakland's runs. Been his speed that has played a role, maybe forcing the error a little bit in the 3rd inning, then getting the stolen base. Try to check up, but that's a strike. It's 1-1. Another toss over to first. Some of the fans here beginning to boo. A lot of excitement here locally with the prospect of a new ballpark in the future. It seems like they are getting closer and closer to figuring out a site and getting something done here in Oakland. As a swing a little blue out toward right field. Chu is playing deep, gets in and gets it on a hop. There's a base hit for Semien, 3rd time that he has been on tonight. And he puts Chapman all the way to 3rd.
And the 3rd or 4th time that we have seen a blue base hit here tonight as well. Really nothing that Chu could do. This is a ball that's off the end of the bat. Good pitch from Tony Barnett.
Now batting, right fielder.
I mentioned where Chu was playing. He didn't have any chance of getting to this thing at all. And even for Rougned Odor, who was pulled more toward the middle of the field, he wasn't going to have a chance at it either.
Now Matt Joyce. He's all caught up in the music there. Chapman 3rd, Semien at 1st.
Hey, when they play your jam,
yeah, sometimes
you got to
gotta
take it in.
That's right.
Everything else gets put on hold.
That's your jam right there. Muzella's going.
Yeah.
Barnett. His pitch lifted high in the air. Again, just behind second base. A long wait out there for Andrews, but he's there and the inning is done. Oakland leaves him on the corners. We go to the 8th inning, time running short tonight. as we get going here in the 8th inning. Hey, Mobile Mondays. You can get take advantage of this with the Ballpark app. You need the Ballpark app for Mobile Monday ticket offers. You get $5 upper reserve tickets on select Mondays. $5 tickets for this Monday, September 25th, with the Astros in town. Remember, Mobile Monday ticket offer, only available through the Ballpark app. Download it today.
You see Chris Hatcher now on for the Oakland A's. He started out the season with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Throw off another loud scream here at the ballpark. Really rattles me. There's not very many people here.
No.
But every once in a while it's been like
a blood-curdling
yeah.
scream. It's like,
is everybody okay?
It's funny for them.
Yeah, it scares me every single time.
Well, Mazzara, Beltre, and Gallo in this 8th inning. Not to overstate the obvious here, but when you're running out of outs and you got your 2, 3, and 4 coming up, this seems to be a pretty critical half inning. Hatcher goes 2-0 on Mazzara.
And Hatcher's got some pretty good stuff. The fastball will sit at 95. He's got the slider and the curveball as well. Occasional split finger you'll see from him. You see him all the way there on the first base side of the rubber, the extreme first base side.
Puts one in there. It's 2-1. Did you move around a little bit on the rubber when you were pitching? Like, did you find one year you're, you know, maybe if I tried it from this side?
No, surprisingly no, and I tried just about everything, but I pretty much stood in the middle. You know, the different philosophies on those you get from different pitching coaches as far as where you stand. I mean, comfort is the most important part. That's where you start. But then it becomes, okay, well, what kind of pitcher am I? What kind of stuff do I have? What do I use the most? And then how would it be most effective? And so for a guy like Hatcher, who's going to be on that side, chances are you're going to see more fastballs, especially two-seam fastballs, as opposed to the breaking pitches, because what you do when you go to that side as a righty, you give up your advantage that you have on other right-handed hitters, because it's a little bit easier to see the breaking ball. When you see righties go all the way to that side, it's because they throw more fastballs and they love the idea of creating a different kind of angle into hitters. Now, for the lefties, it's also a little bit of a different look because that ball starts and strikes on a little bit longer.
Zara sends one out to center field. Pender is on. One away in the 8th inning. Adrian Beltre coming up. For a little more on Adrian Beltre, let's find Emily.
Yeah, last night we featured Adrian Beltre as our State Farm winning combination. He hit a home run, so we're going to try it again tonight, but we're going to add a new dimension to it. And the fact that Adrian now is not only trying to stay in the lineup and is doing that successfully, but trying to get back in the field as well. He is not ruling out a return to third base. He's been taking ground balls, but says he is not ready yet. Of course, he will let us know when he is, but he says he doesn't want to get out there and not be able to make the vast majority of the plays that he's accustomed to making at the hot corner, guys.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, first of all, this whole thing, remember, he got hurt, and they said 4 weeks, and there were 30 days left in the season. So that's it. This season's over. Well, he has made his way back into the lineup, and now the idea of even the thought of him playing defense, I mean, it almost seems impossible. And for him, of course, he gets it. Adrian Beltre is one of those guys, and this is a good thing, that you have to protect from himself, right? He wants to be out there all the time. You have to fight with him to get him out of the lineup. The fact that he's in the lineup right now has been pretty incredible. But then the defensive part, at least to hear him say that and to really understand that he's got to be smart about it and not sit there and actually hurt the team more than he would help. It's good to see. And it makes sense. I would be shocked. I'm already shocked that he's playing. I would be absolutely shocked if we see him out there defensively.
Yeah, well, you say that, and part of me says I'd be shocked if he didn't find his way out there at some point, even if it's just for a couple of games. But it has been remarkable, and as if you ever need reminders of what kind of a player he is or person he is, we continually get them. I mean, it's just been amazing. He finds a nice little patio chair in the dugout.
Because he's
crowded quarters down there.
He's not going to be able to hold back, right? And you get that first slow roller at third base, That's what makes you nervous. You're trying to go to your left the way that we saw him get hurt in Tampa. Your instincts just take over. As much as your body might be telling you, hey, be careful here, you know, this hamstring hurts or whatever it may be, it's just so difficult to actually stop yourself from going hard. And that's what would make me nervous about Adrian Beltre playing third base.
No balls, 2 strikes on Joey Gallo. 2 out here in the 8th inning. Rangers trail by 3. Huge shift against Joey. As we're accustomed to seeing nobody over on that left side. That is to say, nobody near third base. Hatcher's 0-2. And that one down in the dirt.
See Joey Gallo here doing a really nice job of laying off that pitch.
He's had a decent night at the plate. A base hit, a walk, a strikeout. Rangers don't need a couple of base runners. Swings and misses, strike 3. So it's a 1-2-3 for Hatcher. Rangers go quietly in the 8th. Last of the 8th coming. Oakland leads by 3. As we get ready here for the bottom of the 8th inning, you see the activity in the Rangers bullpen. So they will spare no expense here in the 8th to try and make sure this stays a 3-run game.
We got a new pitcher now in Nick Gardewine, and here is the Ford pitch arsenal for Nick. 73% of the time he's been using that fastball. Good one at 95 miles an hour. You'll also see the slider and the changeup.
Well, Gardewine comes on to face the 3, 4, and 5 hitters. So we'll see. I mean, maybe that's not the plan at all, right? The plan might be, you know, get Jed Lowry, and we'll do something else. Who knows?
Well, it's interesting because you think about Jed Lowry being the switch hitter that he is. If you were going to start the inning and try to play matchups, he's hitting .254 against lefties, but .287 against righties, and he also has 12 home runs against righties, just 2 against lefties this year. So him facing the lefty and batting right-handed would probably be more advantageous, but you got Chris Davis on deck as well, so maybe for for Jeff Bannister, he'd like to see Nick Gardewine get through these first 2 hitters before maybe they turn it over to Mendez to face Olsen.
3-0. And there's a strike to Lowry, who was 1 for 3 tonight. So Gardewine getting another opportunity tonight, and that's been the case too for a lot of these Rangers players, just because they have been in this wild card chase doesn't mean they haven't been able to hand out some playing time to some deserving minor leaguers called up. This one hit well down the right field line. A long strike on Lowry.
Tell you what, that's surprising that was even that close to being fair. This was a pitch that was up and in, and usually when a left-hander swings at that pitch, the ball will hook pretty badly, and this one stayed straight for a while. Even Jed Lowry stood at home plate. Watch this pitch where it ends up. And up and in, does a nice job getting his hands in the ball, but inside, I mean, but more often than not, that thing just hooks like crazy. He stood there and watched it, expecting it to hook, and then he started running and realizing, you know what, that ball's not turning as much as I thought it would, but fortunately, it turned just enough.
And so now the 3-2 pitch. And it's up and away. So Lowry walks to start the 8th inning. MLB.com at bat, your #1 mobile app for live Rangers baseball. Stay connected with a fully customizable experience. Get Rangers home screen icons and app features, as well as game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcast, StatCast, news, well, and a whole lot more. Just download MLB.com at bat today. And here is Chris Davis. Davis with a walk, 0 for 2. He has scored a run. Gardewine's first pitch just does catch a piece of his own for strike 1.
It's important for Nick Gardewine to stay in the strike zone. You look at his last 3 outings coming into tonight. It's been an inning and 3rd with 3 walks, and he's got a walk in this outing. So for him in this opportunity, he's got to throw strikes.
Tapper at 3rd. They'll get the out at second base, but no relay offered.
I don't know what happened on Rougned Odor here. We'll see the catch here by Drew Robinson. Good feed, and just a little bit of a bobble there by Rougned Odor, and unable to turn that double play.
Well, here comes the skipper. As expected, he's going to bring on the left-hander. So Gardewine with a walk and the fielder's choice, and Yoander Mendez with a great challenge here in the 8th inning when we come back. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. And by AT&T Internet. Visit AT&T.com/keep calm to learn more. beautiful night here in the Bay Area. 4-1 Oakland, though. Bottom of the 8th inning, and I think Matt Olson coming to the plate. Yoander Mendez, the left-hander, coming on to pitch.
And here is the forward pitch arsenal for Mendez. 92-mile-an-hour fastball. He's been throwing it better than 69% of the time. Slider and changeup as well, both averaging 83 miles per hour.
Now, first things first, we'll check in on the base runner. So we'll have another chance to step in there. But Olson has made this adjustment with his stance and his hands. That is the oddest looking stance.
Well, what's interesting about it is where he starts, right? I mean, that's one thing with him. And you see the hands that are out there. You say, well, that looks weird. But if you watch closely, just as the pitcher will get ready to deliver the pitch, he does start to get in a position in which most guys will end up in anyway. It's more often than not with mechanics, whether it's pitching or hitting. A lot of guys get to the same spot, but look where his hands are, even where the bat is pointed at that point. But he does bring it back now, not nearly as far as you see some guys. Mike Trout's a good example of his starting position where the bat is really close to his head and kind of pointing, not quite toward the pitcher, but to the outfield a little bit. A little bit different here for Olson. Find different ways to get to where you want to be. Those hands are out there, but that you wouldn't start from there. Watch him move, then get to that load position. But it's a short swing.
3-0 the count. And part of I guess the adjustment made was to lower the hands a little bit so that he can get the lift that he normally does. He takes a strike.
Let's take a look at our AT&T high-speed replay, and this is the home run from Matt Olson. This is how you get under a ball, pitch that is up, but just really short to the ball. I mean, he generates a pretty incredible amount of power for a guy who does not take a big swing. As much as we talk about the power game and where guys are now with home runs, it's one thing take monster hacks and strike out like crazy. You run into a few. It's another thing to have a really good approach. You watch Matt Olson and you see it. You don't feel like that kind of swing is necessarily a flash in the pan. Now that's really well located. You talk about having the hands lower. Well, up and in for sure will be an issue. Now, can a pitcher go there 3 times and get there, whether it be a righty or a lefty? You're never expecting that. But based on the stance, that would seem to be an area in which you can go with the fastball.
Mendez fell behind 3-0, but has worked it back full here. Another toss over there to first base.
And for a rookie, when you're here at this ballpark, especially for a lefty, throwing over to first base, it's like the Grand Canyon's behind you. There is so much room. You make a bad throw in the dirt or overthrow, whatever it may be, that ball will roll forever.
Fouled away by Olson. Count stays 3-2.
So the optics will play games on you a little bit as a lefty.
Jake Smolinski, the new pinch runner over there at first base, and this one fouled away again. So Olson fighting here with Mendez.
Mendez has continued to try to pound him in. It's been the spot that they want to go, certainly for Brett Nicholas. We've seen Olson over the years.
Mendez has been interested in Smolinski over there. Matt Olson, to your point about the hitting approach, in the minor leagues, he had really cut down on the pull rate. He's starting to spread the ball all over the place. Now he has pulled it a lot more here with the big leagues. Swings and misses, strike 3. And Mendez strikes out Matt Olson, a very big at bat here in the 8th.
Well, this is the spot that we were talking about and wondering with the adjustments in the swing. Even though Brett Nicholas wanted this ball down and away, it ended up and over the plate, even in a little bit. And he ends up tying Matt Olson up, who can't quite catch up to that pitch.
All right, big smile on the face. Nicely done. And Jeff Bannister takes the baseball. New pitcher coming on for the Rangers. as we welcome in a new pitcher, but also want to remind you to download the Fox Sports Go app and take Rangers baseball with you wherever you go. Hey, if you can't catch the games on TV, don't worry. You can still stream them live on your mobile device with the Fox Sports Go app, presented by AT&T and Hyundai.
Let's take a look at the forward pitch arsenal for Espino. Fastball sits just under 90 miles an hour. He's got the curveball, the slider, and the changeup. It's a true 4-pitch mix for Espino.
Well, 2 out. And a big bender. Boy, that's a beauty right in there for a strike.
Really good pitch here. We saw Nick Martinez use the breaking ball to Ryan Healy, and here is Espino. Look at the finish on that pitch. I think started at the top of the zone, finished at the very bottom of the zone. It's a good break.
Tries it again, and now a swing and a miss. So the count, no balls and 2 strikes on Healy.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing here. The scouting report is pretty obvious. Back-to-back breaking balls, and now, as we talked about earlier with Ryan Healy, this is a guy that does not have a lot of plate discipline. He's had a good year, but he will chase out of the zone. It's very difficult to walk Ryan Healy.
0-2. 3 times in a row, and he strikes him out swinging. Boy, beautifully done, Paolo Espino. And we'll go to the 9th inning now. Rangers down by 3. Game 9th inning now, last chance for the Rangers, and they're going to have to do it against Blake Treinen here in the 9th inning.
Yeah, the right-hander that came over from the Washington Nationals. Very decent year. You see the 68 strikeouts for him, 12 for 17 in his save opportunities. Treinen's got a pretty good arm. A fastball averaging this year, actually looks higher than I remember, 98 miles an hour. It's better than just a good arm. He throws the slider and the changeup as well. So that trade with the Washington Nationals that landed Sean Doolittle over in Washington as they tried to solidify their bullpen. Ryan Madsen. Treinen is a big arm here, controllable arm, coming out of the A's bullpen.
3rd pitcher of the night used by Bob Melvin. Kendall Graveman started the game, did a real nice job. Graveman went 7 innings, allowed a run on 6 hits. First pitch to Carlos Gomez, right in there for a strike. That was Chris Hatcher for the scoreless 8th inning, and now Treinen. Matt Joyce has moved over to left field from right field. Jake Smolinski, who pinch ran, is the new center fielder, and Pender moves from center over to right. Gomez takes a ball, 1-1 the count. Treinen's 1-1. Gomez takes strike 2. Carlos has walked and Had a base hit tonight, so he's been on a couple of times. Rangers just have not been able to get that hit with runners on or runners in scoring position tonight. That's been the big story. 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position, although 3 of those 0-fers were Odor. He just had a real tough night.
The runners in scoring position have not been a strength for Odor this year. 189 batting average coming into tonight.
Treinen ahead 1-2. That one fouled away. Gomez had been swinging a pretty hot bat. It's been a great month for him. It's just the 11th game he has played in the month. Lost some time with that ankle sprain. One-two, and he hits his ball well out toward center field. But Smolinski able to get over. One away. And here comes Odor.
Yeah, that play as well when Rugen Odor was diving on a ground ball that was hit
Number 12.
up the middle. He got up a little bit slowly. Looked like maybe it was his left arm or his shoulder that was bothering him. And so like every other Ranger right now, trying to grind it out game by game as the clock continues to tick here for the Rangers.
Down to their final 2 outs tonight. Blake Treinen. He's had some hot stretches, cold stretches for Oakland. Right now he's on a pretty good little run. He had stretched there. We had allowed at least 1 run in each of the 4 consecutive outings. But then lately, in fact, now 5 straight games, this potentially the 6th, he has not allowed a run. And it's 1-1.
I think this was a good acquisition for the A's. I mentioned that trade in which Sean Doolittle and Ryan Madson went over to the Washington Nationals, but Treinen with the big fastball. We've seen him touch 98 miles an hour already tonight. There's still 3 more years of control. And we know this about the A's. They don't mind flipping relievers at all. So you take Blake Treinen with a 98 mile an hour fastball. Get some of those off-speed pitches up in the low 90s. That changeup at 92. You get some consistency out of him. He's a guy that the A's could easily flip in another year or 2.
It's 1-2 to Odor. And he's outside. Last year, Treinen pitched to a .228 earned run average in 73 games with Washington. That was the 8th best relief ERA in the National League. So he's done it for a sustained period of time. Your point, whether they're able to leverage him in a competitive situation, well, maybe not, but he'll have value for them regardless. In a swing and a miss, he strikes out Odor 2 away here in the 9th inning.
Goes with a breaking ball down into Rugen Odor after a fastball and a couple of changeups away. He flips it up. Here, watch this pitch down and in. We call it that back foot breaking ball. It's 93 miles an hour. That is absurd velocity. For it essentially is a slider. Blake Treinen. It's crazy that he threw that pitch. That usually sits right around 89 or 90 miles an hour. But one thing that has been missing is the elite level strikeout rate. He's got really good stuff. You see it here. But in this day and age, with Andrew Miller and Dylan Betances types, I mean, he certainly has that kind of arm. Those guys are usually striking out anywhere from 12 to 15 batters per 9 innings. Blake Treinen over his career is just under 8 strikeouts per 9. So that's the one piece that might be missing for him. Still a very good reliever. You talk about taking that kind of arm and getting it to elite level. A couple more strikeouts per 9 will get him.
Kind of Nicholas here, 0-1. Fouled away. So Rangers down to their final strike tonight. Here are the wild card standings up to the moment. Rangers in danger of falling back to the Angels at 3.5 games out. Minnesota having won earlier today. And Twins, that's a big day for them if they're able to put the Rangers back another full game tonight. Oh, 2. And a bouncer back to Trinan. He can't find it. And he'll have no play. And that's an infield hit for Nicholas.
What a strange play. I mean, how often does this happen where the ball just hits a pitcher and stays put? And Trinan had no idea where it was. It hit him and went straight down. You're looking everywhere and was actually right at his feet. Usually the ball will kick to one side or the other, but this one just dropped. You see, he hit him and then just dropped straight down. And where's the ball? At that point, he made the right decision not to make it worse and throw that ball away. And so he'll start over now with Drew Robinson. Brett Nicholas on first.
So still a little life. Base runner now, Drew Robinson, who had a hit in the 7th inning. Treinen's first offering, and that one is a foul on a play. Big spot for Drew Robinson. Does have very good power, but really a home run is not what you're looking for here. You're looking just to extend the inning and get Chu up to bat here. Chu waiting in the on-deck circle would represent the potential tying run. He is already homered tonight. He homered yesterday. But Chu has seemingly harnessed his power stroke again lately. 3 home runs on this road trip. Blake Treinen got the first 2 outs quickly. Nicholas and hit one off of Treinen's lower body, and he is over at first. Hayes won't bother holding it. This one sent out to left field. Joyce racing back, looks up, and that one is off the fence into third base, and stopped there is Nicholas. A double for Robinson, and indeed the tying run will come to the plate.
What a great at bat by Drew Robinson, dealing with a righty in Blake Treinen, who's got excellent stuff. And I love the short swing pitches away. See that there, and how well he gets to that baseball. Lets it travel a little bit. Anytime the ball is away, you want to let it get a little bit deeper on you. Drew Robinson did exactly that. He put some thump into that thing as he drove it to left field. And it's a great job for a guy hitting in the 9th spot against the plus stuff of Blake Treinen.
So 2-minute scoring position now for Chu. 1 for 4 tonight with a home run. Treinen's first pitch to him. And he'll foul it back.
Fastball 98 miles an hour from Blake Treinen. You saw where it was, up and in. She's so quick, even to foul that ball off, no easy task.
Chu has never faced Treinen before. To the count.
There's that slider at 92. Really good depth. This is one of those guys when you watch a pitch, you say, how does he ever get hit? Watch this thing after 98. He goes 92 with that kind of action.
Rangers down to their final strike. Nicholas and Robinson out there, the 0-2. And a swing and a miss. That one will do it.
Well, tough one here tonight for the Rangers. They ran into a very good Kendall Graven, and through 7 innings allowed just 1 run. And the guy that we talked about right there, Matt Olson, another home run for him. He stays hot. A tough loss here to kick off this series against the A's.
4-1 the final score. Oakland takes the opener tonight and putting pressure on tomorrow. Meet Dana Larson, Mark McLemore, Mike Bassett. They'll be back here shortly to talk about Matt Olson and his continued torrid stretch. The wild card highlights for you, all the player reaction and analysis from this one. For CJ Nitkowski, Emily Jones, and our entire crew, I'm Dave Raymond saying stay with us. Rangers Live postgame show starts right after this.